I woke up this morning and it was heavy on my heart that I owe my brothers an apology. The news created story after story that essentially our brothers were deserting us and that they were turning towards Trump and going to vote for Trump in higher numbers than ever seen before, which was a lie. I think Trump pulled the same number of black men as he did his last election. I believed all the stories. I got wrapped up in the hype. And you know why that's so crazy? Because I, Randy B, am the one who was always talking about how the media tries to manipulate us, how the media always shows the negativity within the black community. And I'm the one who knows exactly how they manipulate us to create separation between us. But I fell for it. And I became upset. And I did my little think pieces. I think I was always respectful. I always try to be respectful. But I came for y'all. I was upset. I was hurt. Because, with my brothers, I take it personally. I got too much love there not to take it personally. And I was wrong. And I am sorry that I got wrapped up, that I trusted mainstream media, who has never, for the most part, reflected us in a good light or has ever done anything or written stories that unite us, for the most part. So I am sorry, and that's on me, and I will be more careful in the future. Black men, for the most part, stood by us. Are there the outliers? There's always going to be. But for the most part, brothers voted for us. And many are saying that they were voting in support of our reproductive rights, us as women, and they were voting for a black woman. May this election remind us of how united black people are. We may disagree all the time about things because we're family, and families do that. But when it's time to unite and come through, we come through. We showed up for each other. We are a team. I don't want us to focus so much on how we're not good or the dissension between the two of us, between black men and black women. I really would like for this to be a time of healing for all of us. Because if we don't have each other, we don't have nothing. If we didn't learn nothing about this election, we need to have learned that. And so thank you, black men, for standing by us. I'm sorry. And I hope that we continue to build upon this. We use this as a moment to get even stronger. My love to all of you out there. We need each other.
Black men and black women have always been more politically aligned than anyone else. And it's so crazy that when it comes to the election season, black men are thrown under the bus consistently when nobody has stuck together more consistently in the black community than men and women themselves. When you look at the voting patterns, when you understand how much black men and black women vote on the left, vote for the Democrats. It's been happening for decades. So it's literally insane. It is the definition of insane to choose the most liberal-minded, leftist, quote-unquote, progressive men out there, which is black men, and to consistently throw them under the bus as if they are like these misogynistic, backdated, trying to oppose women men. It's like that's actually the opposite of who they are. I mean, black men have been supporting feminism since day one, partially because they saw it as deeply connected to the struggle for liberation. And even up until today, like it, they've always come out in numbers. And this time was no different, as she said. The issue, though, that I think that she touches upon is ultimately how we allow the government and evil entities to come in and to destroy us from the inside by spreading lies about who we are, about what we do, oftentimes based upon untruths, or oftentimes just based upon things that are blown out of proportion. This has been the strategy of the Black community in America since day one. break it down from one end, sow seeds of distrust, sow seeds of disloyalty, sow seeds of division. And at that point, the government doesn't have to do anything. The white man doesn't have to come do anything. It self implodes. And that is what I think this one little story, this one little video is speaking to, quite frankly, a strategy that has been happening in the Black community for quite some time, and we keep on falling for it. We keep on falling for it. And here's the thing about it. I know many of you guys who follow me, many of you guys voted for Trump, many of you guys are actually Trump supporters. And I've talked to Black men specifically who do that. And I have not met one Black man who supported for Trump who said, oh, it's because they don't want a woman in office. That's just not really a thing. Like I said, Black men were even voting for Hillary Clinton when white women weren't. Like, that's not really an issue, because Black men are pretty much used to a matriarchy or gynocracy, depending on how you see it. Like, many of them who grew up with moms running the environment, like, that's not really an issue. So the ones who actually did vote for Trump, the ones that I actually have spoke with, many of them, they did it for other reasons. Some of them feeling like the Democrats just actively disrespected them and they were just against it. But not one man that I spoke with who voted for Trump actually did it because they didn't like Black women. And that's another lie that I think is really being promoted out there. Like, if a Black man did vote for Trump, it's because, oh, he's misogynistic and he just hates Black women and he just wants to belittle them and be more like white men. And I'm like, that's not, if you actually talk to them, that's really not it at all. And so again, that is another lie that we see. I think that it just really isn't helpful or useful. And at the end of the day, all it does is create a reason for Black folks not getting along. So I think it's about time that we really have to remind ourselves that we can't put much trust in the media. It has never had a strong history of promoting anything positive, anything uplifting, or anything constructive in the Black community. Yeah, we see Black faces. Yeah, we see Black people in positions of power, but many of those actors or actresses complained about not being paid right, complained about getting passed up for the role, complained about getting passed up for the Grammys. So Black people, even in the industry, aren't treated right. And then oftentimes, like, how often do we see Black families working together in a more quote-unquote traditional family setting, and there's not some weird agenda behind it? Like, you don't really see that reflected back. And so we know the media has never really been for us in that regard. It wasn't set up for us. Quite frankly, the media it's ran by evil entities. And some of these channels, some of these different media sources literally tap into dark spiritual powers to try to brainwash folks, dark spiritual powers to try to actually influence people's souls, to keep them from really seeing things for what it is. It's a total distraction. And so anybody who trusts media blindly without question, that we are just a sitting duck, just to be confused, to get caught up in the drama and to miss the bigger picture of what is actually going on. So we really cannot believe what media has to say about us. And this is why I know some of you guys have talked about the importance of Black-owned media. I agree. And also the importance of supporting those who actually are doing the work, telling the stories, but their interest is to actually share the truth about what's going on in their communities because they're a part of your community, right? So we really have to stop believing what media says about us. And I'm like, for decades upon decades upon decades upon decades, we've seen who Black people, Black men and women have been voting for, and that doesn't change just overnight. This is why it's actually important to talk to Black men in your own life. And if you're a Black woman and you are not in relationship with Black men in your life, then that might actually be an area of opportunity for you to ask why. Or if you're more persuaded by media than the actual immediate interactions in your life and the community that you're surrounded by, like, if that doesn't ground you on some level, or at least give you a foundation to be able to look at these things objectively, then I think it really creates an opportunity for you to be like, well, okay, well, what's going on? Like, what have I allowed into my life? What am I basing my value system on? Am I even a place where I am safe and secure to navigate a system that has never necessarily been equitable for Black people? And in the midst of the division and the disarray and the dissension that is always going on and is always targeting the Black community, there are two agendas. The enemies of Black communities, who are influenced by demonic spirits who ultimately want to destroy and keep Black people separated and divided and conquered. And then there's ultimately what God is doing and his agenda. in his desire to restore, to repair, to rebuild, to promote that which is going to be constructive, to bring Black folks, the Black community, back to their original intention in relationship with him, and then ultimately fostering a community that's going to thrive and be successful. But whatever we focus on is going to determine how we act. If we think that there's a vision, and if we focus on these lies, quite frankly, that sow seeds of discord and division, then we don't build communities, then we don't trust men, and then we go out on that path and nothing is built constructive. The enemy's agenda wins. What we focus on and what we accept as the truth really does determine our outcomes. And while there are certainly agendas out there to divide, destroy, and conquer and keep people separated, God certainly also has an agenda for Black women and for the Black community. Ultimately up to us to focus on things that are going to be constructive, that are going to be useful, that are ultimately going to point us back to God's plan and will for our life and help rebuild and repair and restore communities. But note to self, ladies, don't rely upon the government to tell you about your men. Don't desert your power source, your men and your God, and the spiritual fortress that he has given you through community, because that's the quickest way to destroy your own home from within. Anyways, those are my thoughts. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know. Check me out on Patreon. Check me out on YouTube members only, and we'll talk later. Bye. I'm really excited to announce my new kids book, Aisha Learns to Love Her Hair. Aisha's hair is stunning, but she struggles to see its beauty. Through encouragement and wisdom from Grandma Lily, Aisha learns powerful lessons about self-acceptance. Aisha's journey is a heartwarming tale of family, culture, and confidence. Share her magical journey with your little loved one today. Available for purchase.